Environmentalism, a term often heard and just as often ignored or taken for granted. Nonetheless, the phenomenon has millions of militant activists fighting daily for the survival of our planet, fighting for sustainability, fighting for us. Now, not everyone has to make a career out of battling for a green planet, but there's no doubt that it's each and everyone's duty to be aware of the importance of maintaining a healthy Earth and to make even the simplest of efforts to contribute to a green planet. Today's podcast's goal is not only to inform you on exactly what environmentalism is, but how you can be ecological yourself and why it's so important to be so. In order to accomplish that goal, I'll begin by briefly explaining what environmentalism is and its notable roles throughout history. Then we'll discuss how you can add to the movement yourself and why it's so important to do so. To conclude, I will slightly discuss news related to the phenomenon and notable actors involved in the scene. So let's get started. By definition from the Encyclopedia Britannica, environmentalism is a political and ethical movement that seeks to improve and protect the quality of the natural environment through changes to environmentally harmful human activities. In other words, it's a movement or an ideology that primes sustainability and the protection of the earth against harmful effects of human activity by protesting and other types of manifestations. Historically speaking, environmentalism in North America grew its first roots when one of the original environmentalists, whose name was John Muir, managed to convince the U.S. Congress to establish the Yosemite National Park in California's Sierra Nevada in order to protect and preserve the valley, and that happened in 1890. The movement grew its glory years, notably through the 70s, the decade during which Greenpeace was created, during which the very first Earth Day was celebrated, and during which the UN's first environmental conference was held. So this is a very brief and broad history of the phenomenon, but if you're interested in learning more, be sure to contact me and I can offer you many interesting websites to consult that helped me during my research and that I just read for fun and that can help you learn a lot. We're now going to take a really quick break to hear a word from one of our kind sponsors.
Ichiban! Ichiban, lipstick for men.
Part of the podcast, we'll be getting a little bit more personal. We'll be getting closer to me and hopefully to you. So, how can you be more ecological? It seems like such a heavy question with impossible results, but trust me, there are millions of little things you can do to help the planet. For myself, one of the biggest changes I've made in my life is going vegetarian. It might seem impossible for some or just unthinkable, but if you knew the ecological benefits, not to mention the ethical, moral, and health benefits, you would surely change your diet as well. Well, what are the benefits? I could go on for a while on that subject, and if you're interested, you can check out my persuasive essay on my website, just about that. Essentially, the meat industry and livestock requires an insane amount of water to produce a small amount of product. Take, for example, a quarter pounder from McDonald's. To produce that small patty, it takes about 1,300 gallons of water. But where does all that water come from? It comes from hydrating the cow, growing its food, and most importantly, processing the carcass. If you'd compare, let's say, a pound of corn, it takes about 308 gallons. Takes over 1,000 gallons of water to produce a pound of beef. So when you compare things like this, it's really crazy to see the amount of water that goes to waste from killing the animal. If you're interested, I could talk for hours about this subject, and I'd love to hear what you have to think or answer any questions about vegetarian life. So please send them some words to my email, trees@gmail.com, if you're interested. Another way you can help the environment is by composting. Many, if not all of you, have recently received compost bins and you might be using them properly, not be using them properly, or at all. Composting is important because all the items used turn into an amazing, vitamin-full, rich, all-natural form of soil that can be used as fertilizer to help grow plants. It can seem like an impossible commitment that requires work and knowledge, but it's much simpler than it seems. A lot of the stress felt from compost is not knowing what can go in. The answer? Almost everything. All your kitchen waste, orange peels, coffee grounds, eggshells, tea bags, they're all good. Basically, you can put almost everything in that's not animal-based, so no meat or bones, and nothing non-natural like plastic, so no yogurt cups, no lids, nothing like that. But you can even put in your tissues. More often than not, if you're wondering if something is compostable, it probably is. And if you have any questions, just Google it. It's really important to get involved in composting because it's a great way for you to get rid of things that would naturally just go in the garbage and put them to good use instead of turning it into useless waste. Turn it to something beneficial that can help grow a garden, help grow plants, help grow trees. I really suggest getting into compost and informing yourself on it because it's a really great way to help the environment. A final way you can get involved with the environment is by getting rid of plastic. Sounds silly, right? But if I ask the question, who now, who has a packed lunch, has no plastic bags or saran wrap in their lunchbox? The quantity of people is smaller than you think. But why are plastic bags so bad? There are two main reasons to that explain why. Firstly, the production of plastic bags emits an outrageous amount of greenhouse gases, and second, plastic bags and their byproducts are non-biodegradable. What that means is making the bags causes insane quantities of pollution. Indeed, according to the Natural Environment website, it requires 60 to 100 million barrels of oil to produce a single year's worth of plastic bags worldwide. Also, being non-degradable, which means that the bags are practically impossible to decompose naturally, which means that they stay on Earth and they stay in the environment and they take up place on Earth. It actually takes up to 400 years for a single bag to biodegrade. So it's imperative to either use biodegradable bags or wraps, like beeswax products that can replace saran wrap, or switch to reusable containers for lunches and when you're on the go to diminish such waste. It's really crazy how if each person makes the conscious effort to diminish their use of plastic, so by instead of putting their sandwich in a plastic bag, putting it in a container, if each person makes just that effort, it's crazy how much we can do. For what concerns news surrounding environmentalism, just a few hours ago, Apple has announced that from April 20th through the 30th, the enterprise will offer a donation to the non-profit organization Conservation International for every device handed in online or in store through the Apple Give Back program. We've also found out that Apple has conceived a new robot, baptized Daisy, whose purpose is to dismantle iPhones more efficiently in order to retrieve the valuable pieces more easily and with less time waste. These two assets, Daisy and the Give Back program, are efforts to help Apple achieve its environmental goal, making its merchandise with only recycled or renewable materials, all through innovation. I'm very interested to see how this all rolls out. I think this is an effort with Earth Day coming up. I think a lot of more companies will be coming out with new ideas to help support and promote Earth Day and to make Earth Day every day of the year. So right before I go, I have to thank my friends from Audible who sponsored this podcast, and they have a few words to say to you. Do you love books but hate all the effort it takes to read them? Download audible.com to choose from over 150,000 books. Not reading has never been easier. Download now for a 30-day free trial as well as a first free book. So, it's now time to leave you guys. I truly hope you learned something and that maybe you've developed even the smallest of interest concerning bettering our Earth. If you went through with any of my suggestions or have some that I didn't mention, feel free to contact me through my email, which is once again trees@gmail.com. I hope you all have a great day, and until next time.